I'm not generally a critic of people's valuation metrics, and I understand the rationale for the CAPE valuation, and I know Dr. Shiller, and I have great respect for him. But here are a couple of problems with that metric. I think there's a lot of validity to looking over a long historical time frame to attempt to even out the economic cycles. But one of the problems is, in general, economic cycles have gotten shorter. And right now, depending on whether you measure them from trough to trough or peak to peak, to take basically an average of those two varieties of measurement, you're talking about no more than about a 6-year span. So looking at a 10-year span goes beyond the average span of an economic cycle this time. The other problem is that we've had effectively, at least in the 10 years that ended in 2012, two, let's hope, unprecedented burst bubbles, inclusive of the one from an earnings perspective that was worse in the 2000 to 2003 timeframe, which was a 60-year record decline in earnings. There's other problems too. One of the nice things about the Shiller CAPE is it goes all the way back to the 19th century. The problem is accounting standards then versus accounting standards now. It's an apples to orange comparison. There's a static measurement in terms of CPI, but CPI gets changed regularly. And then as far as back to the accounting standards thing, he looks purely at reported earnings. So what has happened, particularly in the last cycle and with the housing crisis, is what we know, at least in terms of the banks, a lot of those hits were non-recurring, yet they're getting put in the numbers for a 10-year span. So I think there are enough problems with the construction of that, not to mention the fact that in the 90s bull market, you went to above the mean in 1991, a mere 9 years shy of the peak in the market. And you've been above the mean for much of this bull market as well. So I understand to get a sense of long-term valuation while using it, but if anybody's using it as an entrance and exit timing tool, I think it's fairly dangerous. And then if you're a raving bull, you can support your case by looking purely at forward PE, which the market still looks quite cheap right now. So I think valuation to some degree is in the eye of the beholder, but because CAPE has gotten so popular, I think it's important to at least point out some of the problems with that measure.